keep doing this. And when you do that mathematically, what you find that one infinity outstrips the other infinity.
Wow.
And then you're left with more numbers. So that shows you that you have a bigger infinity. We don't know what we don't know. And this leaves me awake at night. I lose sleep over that. Neurosurgery in 4 easy steps. You know, if you saw a book with that title, you'd have to pick it up because you'd wonder what's going on.
Well, not to kiss your ass again, but I always say this about you, and I think it's important. You make learning stuff about astrophysics fun, and that's what's missing. You know, it's not that people don't like to be educated, that they don't like to learn. They just don't want to be bored.
That's a perceptive point because, you know, think of the image we have of, let's say you're in a school where most people don't go to college. You're in high school. And then last day of school comes. What do people do? They toss their papers in the air as they run down the steps. School's out. No. What's the rock song? School's out for summer. Was it forever?
And
no,
then ever.
Ever.
Yeah.
Then forever.
Ever.
Right?
Yeah.
So that attitude must mean the school didn't train you to embrace curiosity.
Right.
That learning was a chore, and now the chores are over.
Yeah.
So I think the educational system needs an adjustment. Forget whether or not you go to college, because you're going to spend more years not in school than in school, even if you do go to college. What you want, I think, are lifelong learners, lifelong curiosity.
Yes.
Where once you are trained and your curiosity is stimulated, the curiosity we all had as children. Children don't need to be taught to be curious. They are curious to the point of destruction of whatever it is they touch. Oh, what is this egg on the counter? What is this glass? What is this plate? What's under a rock? What happens if I pull a leg off a daddy long? You know, they are experimenting with the world. We don't think of it that way, but that's what it is. They're all born scientists. And I say this often. You spend the first years of a child's life teaching it to walk and talk. Then you spend the rest of its life telling it to shut up and sit down. It's this is the wrong combination. So speaking as an educator, I think a missing component of school is it the teachers? Is it the curriculum? I don't know. But when you get out of school, you should say to yourself, damn, I want to learn more.
It's almost universally accepted, too, that that's when your learning ends. When you get out of college, it's over.
Then you say you're done.
Yeah.
And if it does, then you're ossified in life.
Yeah.
And that's how, when the job market shifts, you're not ready for it because you don't know how to think. You don't know how to learn.
Right.
And it's the difference in the workplace between the person who gets an assignment and say, Joey, Janet, I need you to do this. That's not in my job description. I'm not trained for this. That's one kind of person in a workplace. Another kind of person is, here's a new task I need you to do. Wow, I've never seen that before. Great, let me figure it out.
Right.
These are two completely different species of human being. And what the world needs more of is like the second case, where you take a new task and you say, wow, I get to learn. I'm going to learn on my own. I'll ask people who know more. You just embrace the act of learning to satisfy your curiosity. And I think this book is capturing that in the public.
Well, it must be doing something.
Yeah.
60 how many weeks?
67 weeks.
God dang.
Yeah.
That's a lot of weeks.
Yeah, every morning I wake up, I'm calm, but I'm really not calm. I'm saying, holy shit. Sorry, you're alive. Can I say it?
Yeah, you can say holy shit.
I can say it, okay.
Neil deGrasse Tyson swears, ladies and gentlemen, he's human. People think you're a robot. Now they know. It's a great sign, I think. And I think your podcast is a great sign as well. The success of your podcast and the success of a lot of science podcasts. That's
an excellent note that you noticed that. There's a rise of science-curious podcasts out there.
Stuff to Blow Your Mind is one that I really enjoy.
Right.
I really love Radio Lab. They've always got really interesting science.
The perennial favorite.
Fantastic.
So many people.
Probably the best.
Right.
Yeah, and yours as well. And I love Chuck Nice. Shout out to Chuck Nice.
Oh, Chuck. We all love Chuck.
He's great. But what you're doing is you're making learning interesting, and that's why it's so fun. There's excitement to it. You bring a comedian like Chuck on with you. Things get silly, but they're also curious, and you're getting these experts, and everyone's talking about these various subjects. And
as you know, not only yourself as an exemplar of this, stand-up comedians are some of the smartest people in the world. They have an
I won't
awareness.
go that far.
Okay.
Listen, come to the Comedy Store with me today. I'll change your mind.
All right, let me buffer that a little.
They're
Okay.
curious. It's an opportunity to be entertained and learned, which I think is what everybody misses.
Right.
And I think that's what's missing in most public education. It's people are bored,
Yeah.
and you take these kids with so much energy, and then you make them sit still and watch something that's not even remotely stimulating by a person who doesn't really care to be there.
Right, and they know this. They know this intuitively, if not explicitly,
Yeah.
that the enthusiasm is absent.
Yeah, they could feel it.
Yeah.
And just it's the worst way to learn. It's the worst way, and it's so hard to escape. Once you get out of that system, it takes forever for a lot of these people to just get their excitement about education back.
You know what I say when I address teachers? We all. By the way, I'll do this right now in this room. We have this. Actually, I do have something mildly redeeming to offer about Columbus. Okay, so on his third voyage, by the time of his third voyage, he had already planted enough Spanish flags that Spain had already begun to set up governments and infrastructures in these places that he had found. Yeah, basically conquered. And so in one of the places, it's in the book accurately, but I think it's Hispaniola, one of the island today. He has to get back. This is his third voyage, 1503 or 1504. He's got to get back to Spain. He doesn't have enough resources, not enough food for his crew. So he asks the natives, would you please give us some of your stock that you have collected from your farming? Now, this particular group of natives only makes exactly the amount of food they need to tie to the next crop. They don't have surplus. So they said, no, we don't have surplus, sorry. Columbus knew that 1 week hence, coincidentally, there was going to be a total lunar eclipse where the moon in its orbit around Earth enters Earth's shadow. The full moon enters Earth's shadow and disappears. And the geometry of that event, it's just a simple lunar eclipse, but the geometry is such that sunlight passes around Earth through Earth's atmosphere and takes on sunset colors that leach into Earth's shadow, giving the moon, if you can see it at all, a deep red amber hue, almost the color of blood. Columbus said, and he knew about this because he had read the tables, the eclipse tables, all right? We'd known enough about the solar system at the time we got that, okay? Actually, back then it was just the known world with Earth in the middle of the known universe. But that didn't matter. The rhythms of the universe were known. He says to the natives, if you do not give us food, my God, which is more powerful than your God, will make the moon disappear and it will turn blood red. That will happen in 1 week. You have 1 week to comply. Some of them were skeptical. What? You can't, what? Others said, shit, we got to do what this guy says. Look at the ships they came in, their guns, their power, their culture. Look what they've got. Sure enough, right on cue, the moon begins to disappear. According to that is a famous woodcut. You got this? Those viewing the video of this.
Yeah.
That is a famous woodcut, and notice the natives bowing to him, and he stands proudly because he knows the science. He knows the astronomy. He knew this. And so it's how we got the microwave oven. That wasn't invented by a thermodynamicist. Microwaves. This is a World War II attempt to communicate using microwaves. And they found out some guy's chocolate bar melted in the microwave field, and they said, what happened there? And they did some more tests, and of course, the water molecule and other molecules common in food respond to microwaves. It vibrates them ferociously. And so you put food in a microwave cavity, the water content of the food vibrates, friction cooks the food. There's still people today who say, oh, nuke this, because it's so fast and they quite... Oh, you still say... Let me try to unpack that.
Okay.
All right, you ready? Okay.
Alternative facts?
There's something called an objective truth. An objective truth is something that is true whether or not you believe in it. And the methods and tools of science are uniquely conceived to seek out and establish objective truths. And this, I'm referring to the invocation of the scientific method. No one scientific research result, is true. until it is verified by other people's research results using a different experimental method with different wall current from another country. When your competitor says, I think you're wrong, let me show how you're wrong, and they reproduce your experiment and get the same result. When you have generally the same results emerging, that is a newly discovered objective truth about the natural world. And when you have objective truths, they're not later shown to be false. That's an objective truth. Then you have personal truths. These are truths that you hold dearly. Jesus is your savior. Mohammed is the final prophet on earth. Abraham is these are your personal truths. There's a heaven you're going to. No one is going to take that from you, not in a free country where freedom of expression and speech and religion is protected. That's a personal truth. The problem here is you can't convince someone else of your personal truth without some act of persuasion and, in the limit, an act of violence. Okay?
In the limit.
In the limit. This is how you get holy wars. So I have this personal truth, and I require that you share my personal truth.
But why is
that's a recipe for disaster?
And not a belief?
Because the people who hold the belief will tell you that it's a truth. So I don't want to take that usage of the word away from them.
Okay, so you're giving them definition.
I'm giving them the word truth, but modifying it to say personal truth. That's correct. I'm not. They've used it that way for millennia. I'm not gonna. Okay. They feel that is true, and it's true in their bones. I'm simply saying that because it's your personal truth, you cannot require that someone else share it. And in this country, because in the United States, because God is not mentioned in the Constitution, itself a controversial thing in its day, by the way. Actually, God is mentioned, but in a very insignificant way. The Constitution is a God-free document. And because it's a God-free document, it protects your expression of religious faith. Because it means the government has no say in who and what you believe or why. If the Constitution mentioned God and Jesus, well, there it is. There's Christianity built into the fabric of the country. And if you want to be some other religion, you're going to have a hard time because we can set laws against it. This is why so many religiously persecuted people came to the United States, to escape their country where they could not practice their religion a little differently or a lot differently from what was going on in their homeland.
Is it a problem, though, to call it truth?
I would rather not call it truth, but I'm a big word guy, and I respect what happens to words. I don't always like it, but I respect it. And so I'm going to say there's an objective truth, which is true whether or not you believe it. There's your personal truth, which is true to you. Third truth is a political truth. Political truth is something that is true because it has been incessantly repeated. And then you just believe it at that point.
What? Give me one of those.
Okay, what's Hillary Clinton's first name? It's Crooked. Crooked Hillary. Her first name is actually Hillary? Okay, I thought it was Crooked Hillary. This was incessantly repeated in the Trump campaign. And that's an absurd example of it. But the point is, if you keep saying that the New York Times is fake news, you just keep saying that. Eventually people believe it. And it becomes a political truth because the politicians repeated it.
So it's a political truth that people believe it, or it's a political truth because people believe it? Which one is it?
So again, you're trying to preserve the truth. Fundamental meaning of the word truth here.
Yeah.
And I've just given up on that.
Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris had an infuriatingly frustrating podcast where they went over the meaning of the word truth for more than an hour.